Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, babies in their diapers, welcome to the Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy!
That's me, Tiberius!
And welcome to the Tiberius Show today, and I'm your host, Tiberius Boy! And as always, we're looking at various styles and how they affect the world around us. Today's is going to be very interesting. We're going to talk to a culinary instructor. Wow, do you have any idea what this person does? Well, neither do I, so let's talk to this person and find out. Let me introduce our next guest, the one, the only, the amazing, Marcie Macari!
Hi, Tiberius. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being on the show. Okay, so you are listed as a culinary instructor. Can you explain exactly what you do?
So a culinary arts instructor teaches people how to cook, basically. Sometimes it's also baking, and it's really dependent upon who you're teaching for, kind of what you're actually doing. I work with developmentally disabled adults, and I teach a couple of different things, a couple different tracks of learning.
Okay. Now, what interested you to the role of culinary industry, and also, what is your role? Is like a culinary instructor basically like a chef teacher?
Yes, exactly. So I'm a teacher, and I also produce quite a bit of food in the program that I teach. We do some catering. We do some culinary activities within the company. I got interested because I actually got very sick when I was 24. I woke up unable to walk, and I couldn't walk for 10 years. So doctors couldn't help me, and nobody could help me. So I studied holistic nutrition and became a holistic nutritionist and healed myself with food. So food became very important to me. And I started to help other people heal themselves with food by making them food. So I became a personal chef. That was my first kind of foray into food. So I became a personal chef. Then I opened a gluten-free, sugar-free bakery called the No Bad Stuff Bakery. And we did a variety of different things in healthy baking and some cooking. Now I teach it to other people. It's really fun.
Okay. Now, how do you promote your company?
Well, I don't promote my company because I work for a nonprofit, and that nonprofit has their own sort of media channels, and they're the fourth largest agency in, I believe, Western New York, might be all of New York State, helping those with developmental disabilities.
Okay. Now, can you describe your approach to teaching culinary skills and techniques to aspiring chefs and home cooks?
Sure. So there's two different ways that I teach. The first is using sort of a goal of just improving life skills so that they can cook and bake for themselves. And that class is a little easier recipes. We use things like electric sandwich makers and waffle irons, things that are safer for those with developmental disabilities to use in the kitchen. We don't do a lot of stovetop things in that class. And then the other class is my 102 class, which are for those who might want to work in a kitchen. And so we focus more on higher level skills and some, more creative foods, trying new things, expanding their palate. That's really fun. That's my favorite class.
Okay. Now, what's more fun, being in the medical industry or the culinary one?
Oh, I love helping people feel good, but I don't think I could do it without food. I think food for me is really the foundational thing it's like what I really love is to make food that people enjoy, but also will help their bodies to feel good and heal. Yeah, that's important to me.
Okay. Now, here seems like a good time to take a quick commercial break. Let's hear word from our sponsors. And we are back here talking with Marcie Macari. Marcie has worked as a culinary instructor and a speaker. So, tell me about the speaking stuff. Like, what's it about?
So the topics that I talk on are primarily centered around resilience. So, how we overcome difficulty and bounce back from difficult situations. Sometimes, especially when it comes to health, people can have a really hard time, getting back their bounce. I say, bounce, don't break is my sort of tagline. And I talk about how when we hit bottom, whether it's a health condition or we lose our job or we fail a math test or whatever, bouncing back and being able to come back stronger and bounce higher is really important to get where you want to go.
Okay. Now, out of all of these jobs, which one is your favorite part?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask that. It's really hard. I think so. One of the sort of foundational things about being a speaker is that I'm a writer, and that's really, I think, my forte. I'm a writer by trade, and it's the thing I love the most. So writing probably as part of the speaking career is my favorite.
Okay. Now, what's the most misunderstood part about your business?
Say that again?
What's the most misunderstood part about your business?
Probably that the people that I work with, because they have developmental disabilities, that they shouldn't maybe be able to cook, or that they can't, or that I'm sort of wasting my time in teaching them something, but they do and they can, and it's amazing to see them succeed.
Well, as someone who wears multiple hats in the creative industry, how do you stay motivated and continue to find an inspiration in your work when sales are low?
People, really. Everything I've ever done, I've been an entrepreneur for 25 years before this job, and everything I've done has always been people centered and really focused on bettering the world, helping people. And that's really what motivates me, is that I'm leaving my mark on the world, whether or not I bring in income from it or not.
Now, what kind of disabilities do your clients have?
It ranges from there's some physical disabilities, but anything from autism to Down syndrome. Some have processing disorders. Some have speech disorders, or, a lot of them can't read, and they may have dexterity trouble. So really a wide range of things, and the severity also varies for sure.
Okay. Well, how does it make it harder to, teach them or something?
Sure. So, for example, if I would say probably about 80% of the people who come through my classroom do not read. And so you can't hand them a recipe and ask them to read it and follow it, right?
Yeah.
So, being able to teach using experience, like kinetic learning rather than audio or visual learning, is important. I also use things like there's a can opener that has a crank rather than a wrist twist, because that can be difficult for customer or for clients. So I'm really sort of finding workarounds that make them be able to do what we do, but just in a different way.
Okay. Well, what's the craziest thing that has happened while you were doing your passion?
Ooh, craziest thing. That's a hard question. There's so many interesting things that happen. A lot of light bulb moments. So this is not in the culinary classroom, but I teach a leadership class to the same individuals. And I had a very interesting thing happen last week. So we were doing a kind of like a role play where they were sort of, I gave them a challenge. So one person I said that they found $100 bill on the work floor, and the other person said it was their $100 bill, and they had to try to work out the conflict of who was going to keep the $100 bill, right? And so one of the individuals was like, "No, I would keep it because I found it," and the other person said, "But I got it for my birthday," and this gentleman said, "Well, I don't care. You dropped it, so it's mine." So I had them switch places. So I had the other person, like the person who did not get the $100 bill, get the $100 bill, vice versa. And of course, that meant that they were at the mercy of the other person. We had a conversation about how doing for other people what we would like to have done for us in those situations is really important, and it's a way to build community and a really great way to solve conflict. So that was, and it was kind of like a light bulb moment, like, oh yeah, that didn't feel good when they weren't going to give me back my $100. It was kind of a nice moment.
Who can you say was the person that helped drive your passion the most?
I think probably my dad, because he passed away 3 years ago now, but he worked with individuals who had autism, and he was really well loved and well known in the community in New Jersey. And seeing the work that he did was really inspiring to me, and how much he was loved and how, what a difference he made. It was really, really special.
Well, can you provide an example of a situation that didn't go as planned, and what did you learn from it?
Well, things go awry all the time because we're working with a population that has, processing or sensory disorders. So sometimes, for example, we could be doing something and then somebody will bang a bowl and then another person will have a reaction to that experience. And so really just having to learn to reset quickly and to help people to regulate their nervous system in a way that doesn't disrupt the classroom. I think that's probably been one of the most challenging parts of the job, is to keep everybody kind of headed in the same direction and everybody not reactive to the environment or to what's happening in front of them. But yeah, that's been probably the most challenging.
What advice should you give my listeners if they wanted to go and be a culinary arts instructor?
I would say to really hone your skills, to know what your passion is in the kitchen, because there's so many different aspects to focus on. Mine is baking, but other people prefer savory. Some people prefer just breads or just pastries. So I would say really find what really lights you up and become an expert in that area. And while you're learning, try to remember how you learned, so that when you teach, you can break it down into little steps so that other people can learn as well.
What's the best advice you've ever received, and who gave you that advice?
The best advice I ever received was actually a meme, and it is this: everything you want is on the other side of fear. And that's really my best advice, is that even if you're afraid, even if it takes courage to do what it is that you want to do, you can't get where you want to go unless you face your fear and you move forward anyway.
Yeah. Well, what was the very first job that you've ever had?
My very first job? Well, does babysitting count? Because I did that at the age of 12.
That counts. Was it paid? Was it paid? Was it paid?
It was paid.
That counts.
And then I think I babysat 6 children at once. So it was a very big family. And I did it like full time after school every day. So that I would consider that a job. So babysitting, yeah.
That's a job.
It is.
Well, was there anything you learned from that job that helped you to be a better culinary art instructor?
Well, patience for sure. And I did a lot of cooking in that house, so probably the cooking too.
So what message do you want to tell children all over the world about doing the work that you do?
That food is really important to our families, to our community, to our culture, and to our health. And that even though working in culinary can be underpaid for the amount of work that you do, it is very important and very beneficial to the world to do this job. And I highly recommend, if you have an interest in it, that you enjoy cooking in the kitchen, that you go for this particular job.
Okay. Well, on that note, let's take a quick break to pay some bills.
Over 40 years, Lighthouse Central Florida has provided education, independent life skills, and job training to thousands of Central Floridians who live with blindness or any degree of vision loss. Whether it's picking out clothes in the morning or just moving around your community and serving Orange, Seminole, and Osceola counties, contact Lighthouse Central Florida at 407-898-2483 or visit them online at lighthousecfl.org.
And we are back with speaker and culinary instructor Marcie Macari. Now, Marcie, what's your favorite part of your day?
I have a couple. So I really love when we're done in the kitchen and we're all sitting around and we're having a taste of what we've made. The looks on the faces of the people who have worked hard to do this food with me, who have learned new skills. A lot of times they're trying something new because unfortunately a lot of them also come from low income families. So they don't get a chance to taste some of the foods that we make in the kitchen until they're with me. So that's really fun. The second one is when I leave for the day, and not because I'm done with the day, but because I'm leaving at the same time as the individuals. And I feel a little bit like a rock star because I walk down the stairs and everybody's like, Marcie, hi, Marcie, bye, Marcie, I'll see you tomorrow. Everybody's excited. And that feels really good that I'm part of that community and that they have welcomed me and I'm in. It's nice. Feels good.
Okay. Now, if you could go back to your 13-year-old self and tell yourself something, what would it be?
That some people know what they want to be at the age of 16 and they stay with it, and that's all they do for 40 years. And our society believes that those people are really valuable and that they contribute to the society, and they do. But some of us like to try new things on a regular basis, and it doesn't make our journey any less valuable, and it doesn't make what we're bringing to society any less important. So if you don't know what you want to do and you just want to try something on and then try something else on, that's okay. It doesn't make you sort of flaky. It makes you creative and interesting.
Okay. What was the biggest mistake that you've ever made? And how did it change you as a person?
Well, personal things aside, because we've all made large personal mistakes, I think in the kitchen, the biggest mistake I ever made was in my bakery in Canada. I used basically a razor blade to decorate the tops of loaves. If you slice them and then put them in the proofer, they kind of bloom into a really beautiful pattern. So I was using the razor blade and I couldn't find it. So I had to throw away 30 loaves of bread because I couldn't bear the thought of somebody accidentally taking a bite of a razor blade. So I had to throw away 30 loaves of bread. And then I found the razor blade. It had fallen and had gone underneath my oven. So I didn't actually need to throw away all of those loaves. But yeah, that was pretty awful.
Ouch.
Yeah.
So,
It was
when you're not working, what do you do for fun?
I write. I'm working on a book, and I am a poet, so I like to be published in anthologies and take on writing jobs on the side. And I also am a creative person, so I like to make jewelry out of sea glass and broken jewelry, and I like to cuddle with my Cornish Rex cat.
So, do you play video games?
I don't. No, not a video gamer. Sorry.
Man, not even on your phone?
I mean, yeah, but I played boring games like I Love Hugh. You ever seen that one?
I have seen that one. That's a good one.
You like that one? I'm so
Yeah.
impressed. Yeah, I love that game. So I Love Hugh is one of my favorites.
Okay, so what's your favorite book to read?
Ooh, favorite book. I really loved Dance of the Dissident Daughter, but that's probably not something you'll ever want to read. I like self-help books a lot. I like to read books that are going to help me to evolve and grow as a person. And I've read a few in the last little while. I'm reading right now, The Body Keeps the Score. And that's a good one right now. Yeah.
Well, with all the different jobs that you're doing, what advice would you tell a kid on how to be successful?
Never stop learning, probably. Okay. Yep. And if you want to do a job that you're not entirely sure you have all the skills for, it's a great time to pick up a book or take a course or learn something new so that you can do the job that you want to do.
Okay. Well, is there anything else you think my listeners should know about you?
No, just that I really do believe in the importance of homemade real food, and that if they're interested in trying their hand at cooking, I strongly recommend they grab an adult and give it a try because I think they'll really love it.
Okay. Now, do you have a Facebook or a website for my listeners who want to follow you?
Well, they can follow me on Bounce Don't Break pretty much everywhere on the internet. And at this time, that's the best place to reach me.
Okay. Now, what is that one question that you think I forgot to ask you?
If my job pays well, would be a good question.
Does it?
Yeah, it pays pretty well. I'm comfortable, and the hours are really good because it is working with developmentally disabled adults. I actually have a lot of paid time off, which is really great, so I can spend some time with my kids and travel a little bit. And the hours are really good, so I work 37 hours a week. That's my full-time hours. I'm done at 2:30. It gives me an opportunity to do things like this, like interview on podcasts and pursue my career as a speaker. So it's really great.
Well, thank you, Marcie. You're my special guest. Can you stick around for Math Corners?
So, of course.
Tiberius' favorite subject, it's Math Corners!
And now it's time for Math Corners. Thank you, Marcie, for helping me with Math Corners. This week, we're going to do some more multi-step word problems. My dad's always going to find new problems for me to solve. Today, we're going to talk about speakers and time switches in an event. Okay. Now, during an event, there are 5 speakers scheduled to deliver speeches. Each speaker is allocated a different amount of time to speak. Speaker A has 30 minutes, Speaker B has 45 minutes, Speaker C has 20 minutes, Speaker D has 60 minutes, and Speaker E has 15 minutes. If the event organizer give each speaker a 5-minute break in between their speeches, well, how long should the event last in total, assuming each break is exactly 5 minutes long?
Oh, geez. I don't remember all of the numbers. 25 years, 30, 45. Then.
Okay. Well, first off, this is a world problem because we do not people have to switch speeches and stuff, but this is a lot of speakers. Okay, let me explain this. So, the event spans a total of 190 minutes, including speeches and breaks. How do you know that? Well, each speaker's time combined with 5-minute breaks in between contributes to the event's duration. Well, the sequence begins with Speaker A's 30-minute speech, followed by a 5-minute break, which is 35. Speaker B, which then speaks for 45 minutes, followed by another 5-minute break, which is around... I can't keep it up. Well, the pattern continues until Speaker E, which concludes with a 15-minute speech, marking the end of the event, totaling 190 minutes. So, Marcie, is 3 hours a long event?
Not for multiple speakers, no.
Okay. Now, Marcie, my teacher said that I would use math every day. How do you use math in your work?
Oh, we do a lot of fractions and a lot of calculating in recipes. So we have to know, like, for example, that 3 teaspoons equals a tablespoon, and there's 2 tablespoons and 1/8 of a cup, and there's, it goes on and on. So that if you're multiplying a recipe and it says you have 12 teaspoons, of something, you don't have to measure out 12 teaspoons. You can just do 3/4 of a cup. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Marcie, for your help with Math Corners.
Sure.
The Tiberius Show would like to thank one of their dedicated sponsors, Custom Designs Orlando. These guys are on Mills Avenue and do all sorts of stuff, ranging from photo ID badges, engraved signs, custom braille ADA signs, vinyl lettering to trophies and awards. The cool part about Custom Designs is they can ship products all over the United States. You can reach them at 407-898-0373 and tell them that
Tiberius
sent you.
And now it's time for the Heart of a Lion. As you know, we talk about the qualities of living by the Heart of a Lion, which stands for leadership, integrity, obedience, and ability. This week, we're going to talk about obedience. For me, I think obedience is being fully committed to doing what is pleasing to God. The qualities of obedience is with a good attitude, respect for the laws, and you know when someone's obedient when they follow instructions willingly and thoroughly. So I was at school today and waiting at the car line, and my dad never came to pick me up. I was getting worried because of the $25 fee that would go into his account for forgetting me. This was not being obedient because he forgot me. About 20 minutes later, though, he did pick me up. He says that an alarm didn't go off because I didn't have a show that day. What a way to forget. This was funny also because he didn't mean to forget me, and thought it was a Thursday. Even though it was a Wednesday. So, Marcie, did you see or use obedience at all this week?
Of course I did. So I am a teacher, so I have to ask very specific things to keep people safe in the kitchen. So obeying what I'm asking them to do is important. And I would say for me that I'm really good at being, what's the word? Sort of like focused on following the rules and being a good citizen in general. So of course, like don't speed and stop at stop signs.
Yeah.
And, those kinds of things. Yeah, for sure.
Well, of all of the Heart of a Lion virtues, which is the one that you see the most?
For me, definitely integrity. I operate all areas of my life with a deep commitment to integrity, to living the same in public as I do in private, to being concerned and committed to taking care of the people that are in my care, making sure that their needs are put ahead of mine. I try to be a person of my word, and I don't commit to things I can't follow through on.
We should always try to be lion strong in everything we do, shouldn't we?
I agree, yes.
And that's our show, folks. I want to thank the one, the only, the amazing Marcie Macari for being on my show. It has been so much fun talking to you today. I think I learned a lot about being a culinary instructor and being a speaker.
I'm glad. It was nice to be here.
Do you mind giving your website again?
Sure. It's www.bouncedontbreak.com.
Okay. Also, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at The Tiberius Show. And I would like to thank WWPR 1490 AM, KINT 98, Soul Radio 24/7, Easy Way TV, and all the other stations that air my show. Please be sure to visit The Tiberius Show on YouTube and hit that subscribe button. Marcie, have you subscribed yet?
I have.
Good. Oh, leave a comment if you want to start making some food and eating it. Also, be sure to watch next on The Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy.